Okay, so we are doing this today. Okay, so as the chapter tells, just now we studied in chapter 8 disease causing microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, which causes certain diseases. Now we are talking about microbes. Welfare means for our benefit. So what all areas do you think that we have benefit from microorganisms? Quickly, let's just. So we have microorganisms around us everywhere, right? What areas do you think provide benefits? Where we have benefited from microorganisms? Let's start. I gave you one example, like for food, right? We make curd, so curdling of milk. And which is that bacteria? Lactobacillus. So that's one example I'm giving. You tell me. Yes,
Baking.
Nabil. Baking. Okay, which microorganism are we using in baking?
Yeast.
Yeast. So baking. And you are using yeast here. Yes, okay, very good. And
Penicillin. I don't know.
penicillin. Yes, amazing. What is penicillin? Penicillin is a chemical, right? I'm not. How is penicillin related to any organism or microorganism? There's a fungi called Penicillium notatum that secretes penicillin. What does penicillin does?
If it, I guess it is fever.
It,
Yes.
come on. Penicillin is an antibiotic, okay? You know what it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. I am dead sure you know what it does. I told you this. So you better tell me what it does. See, if you'll speak and if you speak something which is wrong, then you are at benefit because now you will know that it's not the correct one and you know what is correct one. So you will not make the same mistake in your exams. It's a win-win situation according to me. So don't hesitate in classes. Yes, Ale, what do you think antibiotic does? Basic. Anti means against and biotic means life, biota. So it kills pathogens, other pathogens. So penicillin kills other bacteria, right? So it's antibacterial or antibiotic. So can I say in medicine we can use microbes for making medicine? So for food, cooking, which is again related to food in some manner, medicines. Apart from that, apart from that,
It's the bacteria in the body.
bacteria in the body. What do you mean by bacteria in the body? Bacteria in the body can also cause disease. How are you saying it benefits? You have to be a little more.
There's some bacteria that are benefit for us. Right?
Which are those bacteria? What are they benefiting? What are they doing to us? Give some context. No, if you don't remember the name, it's okay. Just say that there are some bacteria in our eyes which helps us in doing this, for example. Where do you know that our body has bacteria which are helpful also? Is it streptococcus pneumonia in the lungs? I know that streptococcus pneumonia can be in your lungs. Are you talking
No.
about that? No, you're not talking about that. Okay. Then which bacteria are talking about in the body which is helpful? Or where is this bacteria? You're absolutely correct, but you're just not saying it now. You're just not behaving like a bio student right now. You're hesitating. What if I'm wrong? All my prestige and pride will go down the sewers. No. Come out of it. Tell it, come on. It was you, Saifullah, right?
Yes, I don't know the names of what are functions they
Forget
do.
about the name, forget about the function. Where is that bacteria? Is it right at this moment present in your body or my body?
Might
Let's
be.
say. Might be. And is it helping us?
Yes.
Yes. So is it in the eyes? Do we need bacteria in our eyes? Nose, ear. Where is it? Mouth, heart, kidneys, liver. It must be somewhere, no, in your body, in your hands, legs. Come on, Saifullah, I know this. Minashi says stomach. Is it in your stomach? Minashi, there is something in the stomach which may not allow bacteria to live there, and it's called HCl. You know, stomach has acid, a very strong one. So either it is a acidophile bacteria which loves being in the acid that can survive. Arey Baba, it is in our large intestine. It's in our gut. It's called gut microbiota. Our intestine is hosting a lot of healthy bacteria. They are called good bacteria or the gut bacteria, right? This is what you're talking about, Saifullah?
Yes.
Yes, but you will not give the answer when I'll ask you. Where is it? Where it can be? It can be in the gut, and it helps us. Let me tell you, we are figuring out now with research that we means not me, but we means the scientists, that gut microbiota is very, very important to not just help you with some secretions of some substances, but also to make your immune system. It signals your immune system. It shapes your immunity. It shapes your behavior, your eating habits, your digesting habits, your metabolism for that matter. It's very important. Okay. So can I say it's also important as gut microbes? Good. These are the good microbes. Anywhere else you know that microorganisms are important? Need not to be only bacteria. You can also include viruses. Are viruses not important to us? Any virus that you know is helpful to humans? There are some viruses which might be helpful to humans and might come under medicines. Did I tell you about bacteriophages? Yes, I did. When we were doing the bacteriophage experiment, Hershey and Chase experiment. Bacteriophages are the viruses that kill bacteria. They are often useful to human. Okay, forget about bacteriophages. Tell me where else you see microorganisms are important. Let me give you a hint. Someone said baking. It's related to this. What do you eat in breakfast? Let's ask this. Nabil, what do you like to have in breakfast?
Sir, anything good?
Anything good? Okay, so you don't have any preferences. Oh, how about a good toast with a butter
Yes,
or
sir.
a jam on it? You
Yes.
would like it? So what is toast made up of?
Bread.
Bread, yes. What is bread made up of?
Dough.
Dough. So you just take a dough and keep it and it will become a bread. So you make all your breads in your home, which you have for breakfast? No, right? We buy it from the market. And how do they make bread on a very large scale? Not just bread, but many other things. You cut cakes on your birthdays. Most of the time you make it, but they come from outside. So in industry, in the food industry also, these microbes are used on a large scale for fermentation process. So there are beverages which are fermented, like alcoholic drinks. So alcohol is a product which it's a product of fermentation. Bread, that sponge like texture that is there in the bread and the cakes, that's because of fermentation. Okay, so we use it in industries. Apart from using it in house, we also use it in industries. So baking, industrial production. Anywhere else you can think? Microbes also help us in many microbes in nature are called decomposers. You know about decomposers? They decompose organic matter. Yes, no? Anyone knows about what is organic matter, what I'm talking about in decomposition, etc., etc.? So when we live in big cities, our cities are planned in a way where everyone is creating and producing lots and lots of sewage waste, right? The fecal matter, the urine, all the waste which comes out of a household, which is human excretory waste, which comes out in the form of sewage, where it all goes. What do we do to all that sewage from the cities? What we actually do in reality is very saddening, but what we should do, scientifically I'm asking. Just dump it in the river, right? People, come on, participate. This is just a basic environmental science studies kind of a chapter. You all know what's happening around you. What happens to the excreta that goes from every house in your colony or locality? Where does it goes? It goes in the sewage. Where are sewers? In your underground, right? So we walk on the land, and inside we have put pipelines for water and sewage. What happens to the sewage? Where does it go?
Into the sea.
Into the sea. So if you're living in Delhi, sea from Delhi is very far away, like approximately 2000 kilometers. So Delhi government will just dig a 2000-kilometer long tunnel to throw everything Delhi excretes in the sea. Doesn't sound logical to me. Does it to you? I can understand for a city like Mumbai, which is at the sea coast, so throw everything in the sea. Being very responsible earthlings, which actually happens. You are not actually wrong, it happens. But can we do something before we throw it in the sea or in the river?
And we can make it more safe so that it doesn't harm the creatures there.
How can you make human excreta safe? Sewage water containing human fecal matter and all the waste safe? How? What is a human waste? What is the waste for that matter? What is the waste of any organism? It is organic compound only, right? Urea, uric acid, ammonia, right?
Yes, sir.
Undigested waste, mucus, etc. So you know,
Breakfast.
undigested breakfast, you're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, anything. But it's all organic, correct? And remember, you have studied that microbes, especially many bacteria, they are, what do we call it? Heterotrophs, chemosynthetic. So chemosynthetic, heterotrophic, or autotrophic, they can be all. If they're heterotrophic, they are also decomposers. They decompose organic substances, right? And our waste is also organic substance. So there are many bacteria that actually help us if we can culture them and then treat our sewage water in the presence of these microbes. So these microbes degrade the toxic substances present in it. So such plants are called sewage treatment plants, STPs. Every city have big sewage treatment plants, and it's mandatory for it to treat its sewage before sending it or throwing it in the water bodies. Because you know what going to happen? These water bodies, I'm not talking about the sea, but every city does not have sea. Okay, so you can just treat or don't treat it, throw it in the sea. If you're doing that, you're just polluting the sea with lots and lots of toxic organic matter, which can also affect the life in the sea. But we don't care about it. But the problem is in the areas which are near rivers and fresh water systems. For example, if you start just dumping your waste in a river, where is your water for drinking purposes coming from? The same river, right? Don't you think so? Fresh water
Yes.
sources are limited: rivers, lakes, ponds, or water harvesting through rains. These are the only sources from where you can get fresh water. So in the same river, if you are disposing the sewage of the city, the same river water you need the next time to to give people of the city. So it's always better scientifically also to not pollute it. Treat your sewage, make the water very less polluting or very less toxic, and then put it with the your rivers and all, where it can get recycled, and the life in the river, they will also take toxins from it. Then you again take that water, and we always treat the water when we drink it before drinking. So if you see, water is limited on the planet. The water cycle is like whatever you throw, that goes, evaporates, goes into the clouds, it rains, but only water evaporates and goes, not the waste. So that's how it's. Rainwater is actually very pure. It only gets polluted when it's travel through the atmosphere. Whatever is present in the atmosphere will just get stick to the rain, but the rainwater itself is very pure, it's distilled. But we use microorganisms for treatment, sewage treatment. That's one application. So I'll write here sewage treatment, let's say. Any other area you can imagine related to this only? There's one more field where you can see the benefits of microorganisms, is in biogas production. You know what is biogas? What is biogas, people?
It is
Yes.
predominantly methane, and it can be used as a fuel.
What again you said? Methane. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So methane is a gas which can be used as a fuel. That's called biogas. Why it is called biogas? Look at the word bio and gas. Why not oxygen called a biogas or other? Why is methane a biogas or a biofuel, as you were saying earlier? Yes.
Because there's a microbial activity in it,
In the gas,
maybe.
there's no microbial activity.
It is produced by microbial activity.
Perfect. That gas, yes, perfect. Good. That gas is released as a product of microbes interacting and digesting certain. So these bacteria are called methanobacteria or methanogens. They produce methane. Then you collect that methane, and methane can burn. So you just send that methane through pipelines to people's houses, and then they will light their matchsticks and methane gas will start burning, just like LPG and CNG and other biofuels. And you can use that for as an energy source, right? So biogas production. Very good, perfect. In very rural common language, cow dung or buffalo dung, animal dung is used to produce biogas. And the cow dung in Hindi is known as gobar. Have you heard of this term, gobar or cow dung? So in Indian rural areas, it's also known as the gobar gas connection. So that people who are not literate or people who don't know science or English can also understand what we are talking about. So there is a gas which can be produced from gobar, which is the cow dung, and that's exactly what you're saying. So methanobacteria, they produce methane in this organic excreta of other animals. Okay, cool. So biogas is done. We'll study about biogas in detail, don't worry. And others, so all these are for benefiting human. Any other field which we are leaving? So we had biogas production, gut microbes, starting from our gut, sewage production, medicine, food. Anything which we are missing out where we use actually a lot of bacteria, lot of microorganisms? Can I say something that can help us with agriculture or getting rid of pests and disease causing vectors?
Biofertilizers.
Biofertilizers. Yes, biofertilizers help us with agriculture. Correct. Very good. Perfect. Biofertilizers. Very good. But something we also use microorganisms for biocontrol agents. What do we mean by biocontrol? What do I mean by biocontrol agents? Biocontrol agents. So you said bio. We are controlling something, right? What are we controlling?
Pests and diseases.
Exactly. And we are also controlling the organisms by using another organisms. For example, you know that mosquitoes create a lot of issues often.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now they are vectors for many diseases. Yes. If I tell you that you have to control the population of mosquito in an area without using any mosquito killing chemicals, because they also affect us, like DDT. You know about DDT, people? DDT.
No.
No. Have you seen people spraying some liquid in water around you and things to control dengue and chikungunya?
Yeah.
What are they spraying? They're spraying this DDT. Anyone knows? If not, okay, go and figure out DDT for mosquito control. And we'll discuss this tomorrow. I'm giving you this as a food for thought. But let's say you don't want to do that. You don't want to use chemicals. Let's say it's harming you also. So what else can you do to control population of mosquitoes? Can there be another biological approach? Yes, of course there can be, because in nature, everything is connected in a food chain. So mosquitoes must be predated by something. Mosquitoes, something must be eating mosquitoes, right? Killing mosquitoes in nature also. It always happens. Grass is eaten by something, that is eaten by something, that is eaten by something, that is eaten by something. Plants produce flower, flower produce nectar, nectar is taken by mosquito or honeybees or any butterflies, and they are eaten by birds, and birds are eaten by something else. So it's all connected. So we know that dragonflies, for that matter, is an example that keeps the mosquito population in control. Okay. So there also it's an example of using another life, though it's not a microorganism, but just giving an example. But all these other things which directly involves microorganisms, please make this in your notebook and we will just discuss these things. So this is a short chapter. Everything that you need to know is written in NCERT. So majorly you have to read it on your own, because there's nothing which you won't understand. It's just application. So this is the microbe and this is how the microbe is used. Things which needs explanation, that I will take care of. So as I said, you all have NCERT, right? With you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So please, just 1 second. Okay, please open your NCERTs and come to page number I think 181. Before that, they are showing you some examples of how a bacteria looks, what is a bacteria, what is a bacteriophage, etc., etc. But come to page number 181. There is a paragraph which talks about microbes in household products. Basically, what we were talking about here, curdling of milk. Okay, we do that. Our mothers always use these microorganisms in our home. So they are actually they are the micro biologists in the home. They are just not knowing formally, but they are doing it. Okay, practically, even if when they're not knowing it formally. So I want you all to read this paragraph and tell me what all so first is household products, microbes in household products. So you have to tell me two things: name of the microorganism and the benefit. Just two things. So microbes in household products. I want all of you to read it right now in your books. Okay. I'm giving you, how much time do you need? How big is the paragraph? I'm giving you 3 minutes. Okay, 3 to 4 minutes, everyone. You have to tell me the product, or so you have to tell me the microbe and the product or the benefit, whatever it is. Are you reading, everyone? Someone should say yes, because I cannot see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so take 3 minutes and I'll ask you again. I'll be just back, okay, in a minute. Okay, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, done, people? Did you read the paragraph? You just have to tell me the microbe. Am I audible? First of all,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
yeah. Okay. So finished, or you need more time? Just the microbes in household products. I'm saying you to read. You need more time or finished? Nabil,
Finish.
Alia, finished? Okay. So let's start with Alia. Alia, tell me one microbe and the benefit or the product from it that you think
So
is there.
wait a minute.
Bacillus.
I'm gonna pronounce. Yeah, Lactobacillus. It is a
Lactobacillus. Bacillus. Yes.
lactobacillus. Lactobacillus. It is a
Yes.
lactic acid bacteria. It produces curd.
Yes. Correct. Lactic acid bacteria. Perfect. It's also commonly called lab, lactic acid bacteria category. Lactobacillus is one. Now you said, so this is the organism, and what is the benefit or what is the product?
Curd.
It convert milk into curd. Now let's discuss this. So mechanism, I'll tell you, that can be quizzed or question can be asked. What is milk? Tell me. All of you have seen, drank milk, right?
So a bunch of proteins and
Bunch of proteins, like okay, many proteins and just proteins. No,
proteins, nutrients,
protein,
carbohydrates,
carbohydrates,
sugars.
fats. So milk is sugars, right? Which is carbohydrate only. So it's all. What is milk? Is it water based or is it oil based? There are two type of solutions, two type of liquids in biology: water based and oil based. What do you think is milk?
They're oil based.
Milk is water based. If milk was oil based, then you could never have added water to milk. And you see that people add water to milk just for profit.
Yes.
Yes. Can you add water to oil for your profit?
No.
No.
So the proof that water can be added to milk and you can thin down the milk and then sell it for profit, it's enough to prove that milk is water based. But milk do contain some lipid molecules dissolved, not completely dissolved in it, but when you start heating the milk, you will see that, or when you store milk in very cold temperatures, you will see that they come out as what we call as malai, right? They start floating up, or in cold storage, they just separate out, do not dissolve, right? Am I clear? Many times people hate the lipid part, the fat part of the milk, the malai. Many people don't like it. Anyone here who dislikes malai? Take it
That,
out and then
that
drink the milk.
yes, sir.
Yeah, you do that.
Sir, I
Okay.
take it, give it to my cats.
Cats. Your
Yes,
cats
sir.
love that fat part?
Yes, yes, sir.
No, good. So you have a symbiotic relationship with your cat. All your mother wants you to finish the milk. So you're like, you finish the malai part, I'll finish the rest. Okay, fair enough. But you should have that, that contains very, very important lipids for your body. Because now you know your body is made up of lipids, right? All your cell membranes are made up of lipid only. Yes, protein is a very important part, but you also need enough lipids in your body, correct? And milk has good lipids, so you should try that. If you don't like it, it's okay. You will also get lipids from other sources. But yes, lactobacillus converts milk into curd. Now how does it do it? As you know, these are lactic acid bacteria. So what happens when they grow in the milk? Okay, just write certain lines. When they grow in the milk, they produce lactic acid. Okay, now they produce lactic acid, Now, in the presence of acids, proteins coagulate. They come together and form lumps. That can very simply be done. Take a milk, fresh milk, take lemon, squeeze the lemon in the milk. What happens? Don't do it. Ask your mother first. Because after that, the milk is going to get destroyed. You know why? What does lemon contains?
Citric acid.
Citric acid, which is a natural acid, an organic acid. Now, when acid goes in the milk, all the proteins which were very happily dissolved homogeneously in the milk, they now start get coagulating, forming clumps, and we call it in Hindi we call it milk ka phat jana. Now milk is gone. So you can never, by any amount of churning or mixing, you can never make it homogenized milk again. So you are only left with one option, which I really like, is that make paneer out of it. Or you add sugar and make, call it a khoya. It's like sweet burfis out of it. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these bacteria help in curdling of the milk slowly by secreting acids and coagulating the protein in the milk. So write down LAB, which is lactic acid bacteria, produces acids and coagulate the milk proteins. Coagulates the milk proteins. Fair enough. And next time, and when we have to make curd, we always put some small amount of curd, right, in the milk to make more curd. Yes, you must have seen your mother doing this,
Yes, sir.
or you also must have done it at some point of time. So that's called adding inoculum. You know what is inoculum? Inoculum is small amount of sample bacteria. So this contains LAB and this initiates the process of curdling, because these bacteria will get milk. Now in the milk they have everything they need to grow. They have food, they have they will produce lactic acid, they will start curdling the milk. So initiates the process of curdling. So it is curd itself. Small amount of curd is added to milk to make more curd. Not only this, these bacteria are also present in our gut. Someone above said no, gut microbes, Safola, right? So among your gut microbes are also these lactic acid producing microbes and other microbes that help us by increasing the vitamin B12 component in the stomach, in our intestines. Okay, so write down lactic acid bacteria, the same LAB, also increases the quality of food, quality of nutrition of the food, by producing very important vitamin B12. It's a complex. We do not have many sources, natural sources of vitamin B12 that we can eat. So we do not get enough B12 from diet. That's why you must have seen people taking vitamin tablets, vitamin B tablets, or vitamin B12 capsules Have you seen people doing that? Or do you know that this is done to get rid of the deficiency of vitamin B12? So either you can take it from outside or pre-synthesized, or you can allow your gut microbiota to make it for you. Okay. So lactic acid producing bacteria also play important role in giving us vitamins. Okay, very good. So this is one aspect that is used in household. Now let's go to yes, Alia. Anything else would you like to say or add?
No.
Yes. Come again. Sorry, could not hear you.
No. Or another. Do you want another microorganism or?
Yeah, anything you want to add? Like you want to add in this only, or you want to take another micro? You want to tell us about another microbe and the product?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Cheese is the product.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell me
Yeah,
the name
cheese.
of a microorganism?
Like for a particular Swiss cheese, I know. It is Propionibacterium shermani.
Yes, Propionibacterium shermani. Right. So Propionibacterium shermani, as Alia very correctly pointed out, it is used to make the cheese. And specifically which cheese? There are many different types of cheese. You know that?
Yes, sir. Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese. So Swiss cheese is kind of fermented cheese, but here we are not using yeast, because yeast will also add to some taste. But these bacteria, now how does it happen, that I will tell you. Thank you. The product is Swiss cheese. We get it because of Propionibacterium shermani, because this bacterium, when you add, so what is cheese made up of? What from where do we get cheese? Cheese is again a milk product, right? Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
We make cheese from milk. See, if we are producing lactic acid in the milk, it will become curd. But if we start fermenting the milk, where we are not curdling the milk, there's a difference between curdling the milk and fermenting the milk. If you start fermenting, you will make cheese. If you start curdling, you can make curd. If you do harsh curdling where the milk acid is added, you can make paneer. So paneer, curd, cheese, all are milk products, but produced through different methods and using different organisms. So Propionibacterium shermani, when added to the milk, so Swiss cheese can be produced in large quantities, because these bacteria start producing CO2, not lactic acid, but carbon dioxide in it. Now carbon dioxide leads to fermentation, right? Like as a product of fermentation, you release CO2. So CO2 releasing bacteria, which you can also say is responsible for. So how many of you have seen Tom and Jerry? You have?
Yes, sir.
And you've seen the cheese?
Yeah, there's like kind of holes in it.
So cheese in Tom and Jerry has this kind of appearance, right? Am I correct, people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you must have. This is your Swiss cheese with big holes in it. Okay, the cheese slices that you get at home may not be having these big holes. So Swiss cheese is characteristic is that it has these big holes, and this is coming from the CO2 which is being released by introducing Propionibacterium shermani when you're making this cheese, and this CO2 comes out just like it does in the bread. It comes out from different regions of the cheese and leave these big holes. So this is responsible for large holes in the cheese. There are other kind of cheese, other varieties of cheese also. One is Rockford cheese, and so Rockford cheese has a particular flavor. It is ripened. Okay, this is a raw cheese. It has flavor, so you just to add some flavor, you can add fungi to it. You can start growing some fungi because fungi can give a particular flavor to that cheese. Some cheese taste like slightly bitter because of these flavors. Some are slightly viscous, etc. Sometimes people, there's one type of cheese where the cheese contains live maggots, larvae of the insects, and it's eaten with the maggots live. Anyone have heard of that cheese or seen? No? Okay. Figure out about different type of cheese, but you know that always bacteria or fungi are used there to ferment, to release CO2, to make large holes, to give flavors of all sorts. But just remember this name. Okay, moving from cheese now. Anything else where you see that we use microorganisms in our house? Someone used baking, right? So what is the name of the organism that helps in baking? It's called baker's yeast. Anyone knows the scientific name of baker's yeast? This is what you have to remember. Yes, tell me.
It is Saccharomyces.
Yeah, it's Saccharomyces. Okay, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It's a fungi. It's commonly known as baking yeast. Or baker's yeast. Okay. Or you can also call it budding yeast. Yes, sorry. I was not remembering the term. Budding yeast. Another kind of yeast is fission yeast, which is Saccharomyces pombe. Okay, Saccharomyces pombe is not used for baking. Saccharomyces cerevisiae is used for baking, so it's called baking yeast or budding yeast or baker's yeast. Now, how does this bakes? How does this helps in baking? Can anyone tell me?
It produces CO2 and it puffed up the dough.
Why does it produce CO2?
That.
Okay, good. So Saccharomyces cerevisiae causes fermentation. Now, you know fermentation, everyone? In the dough. What is dough? Dough is a carbohydrate source. Okay. So in the dough, if you cause fermentation, so as a result, CO2 is released. Similar kind of mechanism that was happening in cheese. Okay, and this CO2 will leave those sponge-like holes in the bread. Okay. So this fermentation and CO2 release. Now, fermentation, anyone here who does not understand what is fermentation? Tell me, please don't hesitate. It's fine. It's okay to not know, but you have to tell me so that I know if I have to spend time on that or not. What is fermentation? Okay, let me define it. So write down, everyone. Fermentation is the fermentation. So there can be many different types of fermentation. If you have studied this in chemistry, it would be lactic acid fermentation that happens. Also alcohol fermentation, acetic acid fermentation. Okay, so but in general, write down, fermentation is defined as the metabolic breakdown of carbohydrates. The metabolic breakdown of carbohydrates to produce energy and CO2. To produce energy and CO2 in the absence of oxygen. In the absence of oxygen. Now, if you're doing the same thing in the presence of oxygen, can anyone tell me what do we call that process as? Breaking down carbohydrate in the presence of oxygen. What do we call that process? It happens in each and every cell of your body. You have studied this in class 11th as well. It is a characteristic feature of living system. It is a life process. Still can't guess it? Yes, someone has guessed it and written it. Yes, Minashi, it's called aerobic respiration. You're correct. It's also known as oxidative breakdown, oxidation of glucose that happens in our cells. Everyone remembered? Say yes or no, something. But ferment, yes, tell me. Minashi, you're saying something?
I said yes.
Yes, okay. So fermentation is where we do not allow enough oxygen. So in the lack of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen, if you try to break down glucose, you will end up releasing CO2, okay, and that will lead to fermentation, okay. For that, Saccharomyces is used. Now these were in household. If we are doing the same thing, we are doing actually fermentation only, but if I now go to microbes in industries, okay, so if I have to microbes in industrial products, so basically industrial products are the same products but produced on a large scale. So in home, if you are making dahi or curd, paneer or cake or bread, you'll just make it for yourself. The people in the house, they're limited. But if you're doing it like companies do it on a large scale to sell it, they need big fermenters, big these are like basically very big vessels where you can churn the milk and whatever you want to ferment, and you add the microbes of your choice, what kind of fermentation you want, and by this you can make bread, alcohol, and another sorts of what you call cakes, etc., etc., base for the cakes, etc. So these big vessels in which microbes are cultured are called fermenters, okay. For example, antibiotics are also made. So we also have to sometimes make antibiotic from fungi. So we have to culture these fungi in very large numbers, okay, on an industrial scale. So write down, on an industrial scale, on an industrial scale, microbes are used to produce products on a large scale. Microbes are used to produce products on a large scale, like fermented beverages. In bracket you can write alcohol, ethanol basically. Fermented beverages, ethanol. Breads and antibiotics. Fermented beverages, breads and antibiotics. Okay. Now for fermented beverages, we use the same organism here also, which we used in the houses. That's called Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So there we were using it on a small scale in our house. Here we are going to use it on a large scale in big vessels called fermenters. For antibiotics, we are going to use fungi which are called Penicillium notatum. You know this name, everyone? Penicillium notatum. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so you know Penicillium notatum. So this is a fungi which secretes penicillin. This is the antibiotic. Okay, which we use to treat. Now I'll continue from here, and I would like you to go back and read this chapter on your own. It's very simple a chapter. Microbes in sewage treatment, again 2-3 microbes name and how do they function, and then microbes in production of biogas that we already briefly discussed, like methanogens. They secrete methane, produce methane as a gas. We collect it and use it as biogas, and then biocontrol agents and biofertilizers. So we'll try to wrap this chapter quickly, but we'll pay some attention to some mechanisms which are asked, like we have to do in detail the biogas plant, how biogas is produced. Okay. So we'll do that in the next class tomorrow. Okay, everyone? Anyone has any doubts?
No, sir.
No? Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Please read this chapter in advance. It's a very easy, fairly easy chapter. It's one of the most easiest chapter you will find.